Me and the voices in my head.
Yes, they're ready to solve this. This is a grain of evil. Arkham, June 30th, 1929. Almost 10 years ago today.
Wow.
Responding eagerly to a telegram from your friend and mentor, you rush to the Miskatonic University Orne Library. How long will this take? Probably about an hour. I think it's like an hour-long episode. This one's the shortest one of the thing. The introduction.
Nice.
There's a warm summer breeze gently rustling the trees, allowing the dappled sunlight to flicker lightly onto the streets. You cross the university quadrant to reach a great Gothic entrance. Professor Henry Armitage, Miskatonic's erudite librarian, greets you at the polished wooden door to his office. He leans on his cane, his wrinkled face cracking into a smile. Well then, I have an interesting little problem for us to explore. It has been some time since we've exercised your deductive faculties, so how about a simple mystery to get you going again? Obviously, there's a chance that the events last evening involved more than a simple crime, but I do not believe that to be the case. However, after my experience of last summer, one can never be too careful.
You can't.
He shudders visibly upon alluding to his confrontation with the Watleys in the village of Dunwich. Armitage settles in a chair, adjusting the ballots on his desk. Inspector Garrison called over breakfast this morning and precipitated my note to your good self. It seems the inspector is at a loss and requires our special assistance. Last evening, as you may have noted from this morning's edition of the Arkham Advertiser, a disturbance occurred on West High Street. It was a pleasant enough evening, and at 7 o'clock the streets were relatively full. A young woman, well-dressed and of seemingly good health, collapsed on the sidewalk after emerging in a state of distress from Uptown Park. Uptown and Arkham Advertiser and Inspector Garrison are all bolded, just for your reference.
Sorry, what was that? Inspector Garrison?
Arkham Advertiser.
Okay.
And the Uptown Park.
Okay.
A small crowd gathered to assist the young lady. An orderly from St. Mary's Hospital, also bolded, and his wife stooped by to revive her, and a policeman was found. The orderly noticed a growing crimson stain seeping onto the woman's blouse. He slit the garment free with his pocket knife. At once, the horrific nature of the wound in the lady's chest was apparent, and he stemmed the steadily increasing flow of blood. I'm happy to report that the disaster was averted by his quick thinking. An ambulance arrived in good time to take her to the hospital, and they have managed to stabilize her condition. The librarian pauses to sip coffee from a delicate cup. The policeman assumed this was an attack by an unknown assailant until the woman regained consciousness momentarily in the ambulance. She raved nonsensical syllables before crying out that the trees were alive. Alive! Whilst dealing with the mysterious lady, the policeman was sharp-eyed enough to spot a man lingering in the crowd of onlookers. The man was acting in a furtive way, watching the proceedings with curious detachment. He was tall, over 6 feet, with a worn brown suit and dark hair and a distinctive birthmark under his left eye. When the policeman called out to the man, he fled the scene. Being preoccupied with the lady, the policeman was not able to pursue and noted a description in his pocketbook. Armitage sits back, the leather of his chair creaking. He steeples his fingers. The identity of both the woman and the mysterious fugitive remain a mystery. It is also for us to determine if there are forces beyond the mundane at work. You'd better get going. Let Garrison's men take care of the crime scene. They do get rather protective. Before you set off, Armitage says, remember, if you need help, come see me at my home. I am unlikely to be in office when working a case.
Okay.
So, the city is now yours.
Oh dear.
There are a few places that people can give you, like allies that give you places. However, I'm also here with your guidebook, so if there's ever a place like I want to go here, we can just go there.
Oh, okay.
So it's like free form. You just say, should we go there?
Oh boy. This is a huge map. I am so overwhelmed.
Yeah, but just go with your leads, right? Like with the leads you have. That's my advice.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I if this were any other like roleplay game, I would go to the Arkham Advertiser to ask more questions about their case.
Sure, alright, let me see.
That's where I would start.
Cool, Arkham Advertiser. Oh,
Clearly nothing supernatural going on here.
You can go to the Rotary Club.
Aw, I want to join the Rotary Club.
Mike normally does this. He's much better at me.
Meghan just is a thing for journalists. I mean, it just seems like a good place to start. The
Yeah,
newspaper and the library, top tier. We've already been to the library. Step 1, split the party. Well, it's just me, and so I don't want to be split in half. That would be a very quick end to this game. Hello, Elaki. Yes,
and 28.
it is early, and we're in person. It is a day of newness.
All right, so you're moving to your first location, the Arkham Advertiser. That is N28. The offices of the Arkham Advertiser are busy as usual, with reporters banging on battered typewriters and runners scurrying fact checks with the archives. Your friend, Donnie Clark, motions you over to his cramped desk. What can I do for you? He greets you with his initial trademark frown that, as always, melts you into a smile.
Aww.
No. He greets you with his initial trademark frown that, as always, melts into a smile.
Aww.
There's 2 that's there.
That's confusing. That's confusing.
You got a scoop for your old friend at the Advertiser? You explain what you're looking into, and his expression turns back into a frown. I put down everything. I knew in the last edition, I'm afraid. Be sure to let me know if you uncover any more details, won't you?
Okay. Well, that was dead end.
As always, chat, you can recommend for her to take.
Let me know what you think. I mean, I guess I could, actually reread that article out to you guys as well. Woman attacked in Uptown Park. A disturbance occurred around 7 p.m. last night in West High Street when a young woman collapsed. Bystanders were able to provide assistance to the woman, who was obviously in distress and grievously injured. The police were summoned and were quickly on the scene. An ambulance took the young woman, who as yet remains unnamed, to St. Mary's Hospital for urgent treatment. Detective Garrison of the Arkham PD has made an appeal for any witnesses to the incident to come forward and provide statements. Police are treating the incident as a criminal one. Garrison also expressed surprise, remarking that this type of crime was unusual for the district, one of Arkham's wealthiest areas, but he felt this was an isolated incident and citizens of Uptown should not worry unduly.
So, some other allies you can visit. There is a doctor at the hospital.
That feels good. That was going to be my next instinct.
There is someone at there's people at the university, the library. There's someone who's at the diner. Town hall.
Always got to be a diner.
There's a police station. There's a criminologist, Herbert Corbett. And then there's Arlo Hoppins from the Cab Company. Someone from the Historical Society. A spiritualist. Someone who is an insider of the Silver Twilight Lodge.
Ooh.
Arkham Advertiser, who you talk to. And then Ambrose Checkley is a gossip. And then there's also the speakeasy and the sanatorium.
Okay. I feel like the hospital. What do you guys think? Synthetic agrees with the hospital. Doctor is your best option. Although the spiritualist is clearly a hypnotist and will solve everything. I would be surprised if there was anything in this game that was a solve anything kind of moment.
Hospital?
Yeah, let's do hospital.
All right.
Synthetic gets the vote.
This one's a long one, folks.
Okay.
Armitage often mentions his friend, Dr. Vincent Sutton, as being a useful point of contact at the hospital, and you ask for the doctor at the front desk. The stern administration assistant frowns at your request, but dispatches a message to Sutton all the same. After you wait for what seems like an age, Dr. Sutton appears and greets you in a detached and professional manner. He is in his mid-40s, and his clean-shaven head amplifies the size of his thick, horn-rimmed glasses. He allows a cursory nod when you tell him the reason for your visit. Of course. Armitage told me to expect you, he says. You explain that you're investigating the mysterious case of the woman brought into the hospital after her collapse at the park. It's not my case, but let's head up to the wards and I'll see what we can find out.
Nice.
Sutton leads you to the White Halls, weaving in and out of foot traffic. On the way up, he asks whether Armitage expressed interest in the lights dancing around at the nearby Emperor home. Some of the hospital workers have seen them, and the old building is supposed to be abandoned. When you tell him that Armitage hadn't mentioned it, the doctor shrugs. You arrive at Ward 6, and Dr. Sutton makes his way down a row of beds, stopping at the foot of one containing an attractive young woman. The woman is sleeping soundly, and Sutton lifts the chart from the end of the bed and consults the notes. We still don't have her name. She is listed here as a Jane Doe. Strange, the wound in her chest was deep, likely created by a sharp blade cutting into the flesh. However, 5 of the upper ribs on the left side were also fractured during her incident. It is as though someone removed or was attempting to remove something from her chest cavity.
Ooh.
Most unusual. Dr. Noyes conducted the surgery to reset the bones. Speaking of unusual, Noyes cleared away a good deal of brownish-colored mucus from the wound. He sent this sample to the lab. The lab assistant was sent to the university library to consult medical treaties, as they are unsure about what the substance was consisted of. Pascal, who is your spiritualist,
Oh, okay.
also knows about strange things as well. As Sutton ends his speech, a nurse arrives to administer a shot. No sooner is the needle withdrawn from the woman's arm, she thrashes in her bed. Sutton doesn't look concerned, and he pats the nurse on the shoulder. The discomfort will quickly pass. Then, shockingly, the woman's eyes snap open and she screams a piercing shriek.
Ooh.
Sutton calls for help as the woman raves madness, spittle dripping from her chin. Only at Bayfriars. But no, not there. The trees. Why are they walking? Edward? Where is my Edward? Why is... The trees have eyes? Edward, we were supposed to meet at the bell. Why are we here? Edward, it hurts, Edward. Stop it. Stop it. Sutton steps in and holds the woman's shoulders, talking to her in a calm, soothing voice. After a few minutes of delirium, the woman slips into a peaceful rest. She's really been through the mill, Sutton says. The wound will heal just fine given time. However, as you've seen firsthand, there are some scars that are beyond our ability of repair.
Mm-hmm.
You learned all you can from the good doctor. Her effects were taken for examination by the police. I think they were taken over to the criminologist, Dr. Corbett. Please let me know if you discover her identity. I'd like to contact family members. She needs someone to look after her. Poor Seti. I think Edward might have done it. Yeah, good call. I think that's fair.
Oh, Edward.
Alright, that's all for this location.
Edward the vampire. Okay, I'm thinking Pascal the spiritualist. What do you think, chat? Synthetic was on that one before, but on a weird train.
Yeah.
There was no reasoning behind your logic before. Has the woman been exposed to direct sunlight? Is she a vampire? Did someone attempt to break a stick off a tree and stake her? No, the woman is a vampire. She's the one who got staked. This is off topic, chat. You're not being helpful.
Do you want to go Pascal?
Yeah, let's do Pascal.
Alright, Pascal is L4. Alright. Evening of the first day of your investigation.
Oh boy, nighttime.
L4. Yeah, let's forget the first one's a very long. Armitage has little good to say about the odious little man that is Pascal Fenton, Arkham's most celebrated occultist. He and Armitage have had a lifelong rivalry. Too much of the showman, and some might argue charlatan for most tastes. However, Pascal manages to make an impressive living. His mansion is tawdry and garish, decorated with a vast collection of the occult, including deformities in jars, unusual medical devices, and jewelry that evokes satanic ritual.
Cool.
He invites you in cordially enough, but the smirk appears on his arrogant face when he learns the reason behind your call, raises his hackles. Oh! So now I'm consulted on this matter. I would have thought that bumbling idiot Garrison would have come himself, rather than sending his protege. Biting your tongue, you explain that wound on the young lady and why the police would be concerned. Pascal realizes he is being a bit nasty and changes his tone.
Oh.
Trees? She went on about being attacked by trees, did she? I would suggest that you've stumbled upon the cultist of Shub-Niggurath, also known as the Black Goat with 1,000 young. There are mutterings of certain dark rituals that, well, her followers use a sacrificial victim to host the spawn from the unholy seed to infant. The wound on this woman may be that, or maybe she is just insane. The mad abound in Arkham, as I know you've heard from stories. That would be a better guess. Pascal pauses you and you encourage him to tell you more about Shubby. He is a bit reluctant to share his knowledge, but continues. The spawn of Shubby is sliced free from the flesh of the host and brought into this world to wreak havoc whatever horrors it may. Investigate the witch cult in Arkham if you truly want to go down this path. It very well may be that lady who was attacked is delusional from some poison, or she made it up altogether. You ask what the spawn is likely to do if it indeed has been born into this world. Pascal bites his lower lip. For now, nothing. The spawn will take a number of years to fully mature. The texts speak of these creatures often attacking domesticated animals, particularly dogs and cats. Even in seed form, the animals can sense their evil presence. With this, you thank Pascal for his insights and leave.
Great. Okay, so we know there's a witch cult of Arkham now that might be useful. Willing to bet that's not a location on this map, though.
Hair under here.
Just cover your eyes, it's fine.
Yeah. The witch cult.
This spiritualist is secretly a Call of Cthulhu investigator. He clearly knows too much, in which case listen to nothing he says and do nothing that he suggests. It always leads somewhere bad. Have you been to the scene of the crime? I haven't, but Garrison said I should leave that to the police.
Armitage said that.
Or sorry, Armitage, not Garrison. So I feel like that's a later thing, if at all. Who else are my allies?
That's on the end of the back page. It's on both sides, but yeah. You nailed it the first time.
Great. Okay, Professor... Orne Library... Right, Garrison's the police officer. That's right. Okay, I think probably either Herbert Corbett or the police station seem good. The police are incompetent. Ignore them.
This is intense. I agree. Piggy noises.
What doesn't make sense is the delayed bleeding. The woman should have already been covered by the time she reached the crowd, unless there's something preventing blood from
It wasn't delayed bleeding.
Yeah.
There was blood on her blouse, and when they cut it off, they realized that she had a wound in her chest. It was huge.
Yeah.
It wasn't delayed bleeding.
It doesn't seem like it. She was having a bad time all over.
Yeah.
I think let's maybe go do Corbett.
Cool. What location is he?
A number and a letter.
Yeah, a letter and a number.
D45.
D45. All right. Morning of day 2 of your investigation.
Oh dear.
D45, you say?
That's the rumor. We want the D.
45 of them.
45.
Synthetic Divine, get your logic out of this. It's a dumb adventure game.
Yeah.
Good God. You rap on the door to Herbert Corbett's lab, and after a moment you're greeted by his helper. He recognizes you and shows you through to Corbett's workroom. The workroom is a chemistry lab with several Bunsen burners blazing away. Herbert is huddled over a bench. On his head he wears a magnifying apparatus, which he lifts to greet you. Welcome to my criminology laboratory. He shakes your hand, sensing that this man is kept very busy. You don't waste any time with pleasantries, and asks about the attack on the woman in Uptown Park. Ah, yes, a strange one. I believe that I can shed some light on her lodgings, if nothing else. Corbett reveals a brown cardboard box. Garrison left these for me to examine. The blouse, as you can see, is saturated with blood from a wound made in her chest.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested to note that the blouse was not damaged before she was administered first aid. This suggested the blouse was put on the woman after the injury occurred. More revealing is the lady's purse, which contains an address. Here, he rummages in the box. This is a bill from Rennie's boarding house, and a receipt confirming that she had paid for next month's rent in advance. There is a receipt as well from the bookstore. And how am I supposed to solve a puzzle if I can't use logic? So the thing is, you're looking at, it's like a 3-letter code, and you're like, maybe if I look at it from the 4th dimension, I'll solve this puzzle.
Yeah, you're just overthinking the puzzle.
Yeah.
Which is honestly how Justin and I lose most games.
All right, so the note says from Meredith used books.
Okay.
$3 received with thanks for Coleridge's collective poems. That's not the important part. To be inscribed on the inside cover with to Edward with all my love, signed NXXX.
NX.
M, sorry, M.
M, okay. If the blouse had been put on the woman after the injury had occurred, the blouse would be covered with blood. They would have had to draw the material down over the wound, which... a blouse buttons, first off. Yeah. Yeah, they would have put it on her arms and then buttoned it over her chest. It would have been fine. We will even assume she has very small boobs, and so there was no need for anything to be drawn anywhere. Okay, so we learned that she went to a bookstore and that she's staying at a boarding house.
Rennie's boarding house.
Yes. Chat, do you have any opinions about whether we should go to the boarding house or the bookstore? The bookstore had a note on the receipt that said, to Edward with all my love. We know Edward was what the woman said.
Yeah, we know Edward is a vampire. What the fuck?
We know Edward is a vampire. Do you have a rash?
Oh, I feel like
A cat scratch?
yeah, maybe.
Use Eldritch magic. Not helpful.
That's a Justin only.
It is. That's his MO.
And I'm just going to get these boarding houses. So Rennie's boarding house is F16.
Okay. F16.
And that one's a bookstore, you said?
Meredith's, which I misspelled, so it's got a really funny end to it.
Stores. Meredith's used books is M50.
M50. How appropriate. Forseti89 said the bookstore would be my vote, so I'm home with bookstore.
All right.
Because synthetic is not helping.
Bookstore's M50.
M50.
Okay. Well, Vampire, thank you so much for helping out with the chat thing. All right. The door to Meredith's used books is locked. Unabashed, you try knocking and are rewarded after a few moments by a friendly large man in a sharp tweed suit. His gray hair is thinning, but his eyes twinkle with a youthful look.
Aw.
You explain your reason for stopping by. He takes the receipt from you and turns it over in his hands. Yes, definitely one of ours. Come in for a moment, won't you, and I'll check the ledger. Mr. Meredith leads you inside the musty-smelling shop. Shelves cover every wall and groan under the weight of printed literature. He smartly rounds the counter and pulls out a worn book. Flipping through several pages, his fingers scan the columns of names with practiced ease. Yes, here we are. Coleridge's collected poems, to be inscribed in calligraphy with a personal message. We charge $3 for the young lady in question. Yes, Martha is her name.
Nice.
And Edward is her betrothed. Edward Hartwell. You quickly thank Mr. Meredith and leave.
Edward Hartwell. What was her name?
Martha.
Martha.
So,
Great.
One thing you don't know because you haven't looked at this, there's a phone book, so you can look people up by last names.
Oh, sick. Yeah, I guess I should, actually stare at this. Directory. Nice. Okay.
I mean, I think that's all sounded by synthetic. The librarian is guilty of something. Which librarian are we talking about? Are we talking about Dr. Henry Armitage?
Armitage, yeah, that's what he said.
There's no way Dr. Henry Armitage is guilty of anything. Except for being a hero.
A hero. Okay, let's look up Edward Hartwell. That seems like a good train of thought to follow, if nothing else.
But he's guilty of something. I wonder what.
Hartwell E. L26. Should we go see Edward? He's totally guilty of something. Not this, but he's guilty of something. I mean, everybody's guilty of something. Guilty.
I just know he's guilty. You know, that's the way to solve. That's the way to solve an investigation. I'm with you 100%. Just assume they're guilty.
Guilty until proven
yeah.
innocent. You're saying I'm right, Megan. I'm saying you're right. Sure, in the most technical sense. Suggestions from chat? Anybody? Bueller? Otherwise, I'm gonna go see Edward. Let's do it.
L.
L26.
The evening of night 2 of your investigation.
Exciting.
Edward Hartwell's home is average and unassuming. A cat draws your attention as you step forward to knock on the door. The mangy feline is backing away from a basement window. The poor creature's eyes are wide and its back is arched, hair standing on end. It's hissing in the most fearsome way. You knock on the door, and when there is no reply, you knock again. As minutes tick by, you decide that a closer inspection of the rear of the property might be in order. After all, if his lady was injured, there's a chance that someone may have attempted to injure Edward Hartwell as well.
Ooh, true.
The yard at the back of the building is well tended and the fence is new and painted. The back door is unlocked. Stealing inside quickly so you're not observed, you find yourself in a clean and tidy kitchen. The cutlery and plates are neatly washed and stacked on the drying board. The attention to tidiness in each room, the attention to tidiness continues in each room. A pile of mail addressed to Edward Hartwell sits on a small table near the front door. Remembering the cat, you discover a small cellar door in the kitchen and head down to the basement where a bare, flickering bulb illuminates a small workroom. Discarded under a workbench is a small, broken packing crate stamped with the Miskatonic Museum's address. On the bench lies a wickedly sharp, straight-bladed dagger etched with unusual symbols on its wooden hilt.
Jesus.
The razor-sharp blade reveals flecks of red stain. Next to the dagger is a bowl, also stained dark red. Your stomach lurches at the uncomfortable thought that these are the implements that injured the woman at the hospital. A few pieces of old parchment with indecipherable crabbed handwriting lie scattered nearby. Placed next to the parchment is an open wooden box containing 4 large grain seeds. Each is about the length of your fingernail and jet black.
Grain seeds?
Grain seeds.
Okay.
Jet black grain seeds. Leaving everything as you found it, you exit property the way you came. You also do find a small note. That's yours.
Cute. For chat, the note says, Edward, I am glad it all went as planned. I will arrive in town Sunday by train and meet you at B's Diner. I will collect it from you there, so be sure it is kept warm. And the back is just the note number. Great. B's Diner, hey? Shall arrive Sunday. B's Diner. Collect it. Those totally weren't the instruments that injured her, so no worries. That's so funny. What day is it in this paper? Sunday. It is Sunday. Let's go to the diner.
The diner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is...
The diner.
It's a race. I saw it in here. Oh, it's not the same diner. He's the Fleetwood Diner. This is B's Diner.
D9.
Yeah. D9.
Is that where you're going?
Yeah, that's where I want to go. It's in the note.
All right. The morning of day 3. B's Diner. It looks as though you missed the action by the time you arrive at B's Diner.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is Tuesday.
A police wagon pulls away as you turn the corner. You spot Inspector Garrison standing with several uniformed officers inside the diner. The detective greets you with a nod. We got him, thanks to the tip from Armitage. Edward Hartwell matches the description of the man that Keene saw fleeing the scene of the attack last night.
Oh.
Placed Edward under arrest, but he wasn't being particularly cooperative and things got violent. That said, I think that he's going to end up in the sanitarium to be sure. The nonsense he was battling. The overturned chairs and smashed crockery scattered around the diner tell the tale of his arrest. You ask if Hartwell had anything suspicious in his possession. Perhaps he came to the diner with a small package, according to a waitress, but he met a man who called himself Victor and gave the package to that gentleman. The waitress overheard Hartwell's companion saying he had to rush off so he didn't miss his train. Garrison appears upset that Hartwell's contact evaded capture. My jurisdiction ends at the city limits. That package is someone else's concern now. With a twinkle in Garrison's eye suggesting he's intending to follow the man with his package, he tips his hat and turns to speak with one of his officers. You realize that Garrison wouldn't leave a loose end like that up to chance.
Okay.
So for reference as well, you can end your investigation at any time when you feel like you're ready for the test. In addition, there's the majority of the questions are about this investigation that are worth the most points. But there are a few random things as well.
Okay.
Other leads that you follow.
Okay.
But those are worth less points at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
The officer isn't corrupt. He's just a gullible fool. Well, that's a trope if I ever heard one. Okay, I feel like that was like less helpful to deciding where to go next, but also useful information because we found out the.
You also do have the boarding house still.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's how Justin can help without spoilers.
True. What?
Oh, it's not as I said. That's all.
Oh.
Just leads that haven't been followed.
Oh yeah. That's true. This is true. My God, this town has so many diners.
Can you blame them?
So many.
Everyone's got to eat.
Yeah, and meet and eat. Okay. All right. Oh, there is a train station. Okay. Yeah, I guess let's go to the boarding house. I've solved the case. This is oh no.
F-16 it looks like on your notes?
Yes, F-16.
Okay. F-16. The 3-story clapperboard house on Blitch Street is neat and presentable. The small sign advertises that Rennie's boarding house has vacant rooms. You're greeted at the front desk by one of the Rennie twins, Thomas, a friendly man in his 30s with a mop of dark hair. What's this? Are you wanting to rent a room? You describe the woman in the hospital who was attacked, explaining that she had a receipt for payment for one of his rooms. Well, that sounds very much like Martha Modine. M-O-D-I-N-E. Or Modine, whatever you want. She's been with us for over a year now. I believe she works over on Main Street in one of the stores. I do hope she's okay. She's got a kind heart, always willing to do kindness for a stranger. She's spinning as well, having recently fallen in love with a man named Mr. Hartwell. Don't care for him too much. Surly makes my dog bark. My dogs bark every time he's around. My dogs never bark. Clearly, young Martha can see redeeming qualities, I suppose. You ask if you may see Martha's room, and he agrees, striding past you, brandishing a pass key. Martha's room is modest but well kept and pleasantly decorated. On a small bookcase, there are several works of poetry. A photograph in the frame of the mantel catches your eye. You walk over and examine it. It is the picture of a lady and a gentleman, and there is no doubt that this is the woman that Armitage described, also because you saw her in person.
Yeah.
The couple gaze lovingly at one another with that faraway, dreamy look of a movie romance. The man has a small birthmark under his left eye. Thomas says, "That's them. Martha and Hartwell, though he looks as though butter wouldn't melt in his mouth, unlike her." What a weird fucking thing to say to someone. He asks for more information on Hartwell, and Rennie tells you that Hartwell has been seeing Martha for several weeks, and he has a house on the lower south side, which you've already visited.
Yes. Okay. Okay. That tells us she works in the store, and her last name is Modine. I imagine she won't be in this book, but I'm curious.
No, she's on the boarding house,
Yeah.
so she won't have a place.
Okay.
Where's Main Street? I don't even know if you can visit where she works. I've never tried that.
Let's see. Plotline where they're trying to play that everybody stored or grew something inside of Martha's chest, which then got removed to go in that package. Just arrest Thomas now. Save yourself the time. Financial institutions, gas stations, graveyard, hardware and construction. West Main Street, East Main Street. Okay.
In order to succeed, you can declare your investigations over, and then you get scored. So, right now, I'll tell you, you're either batting 100 or 0. One of the two.
One of the two.
And then, depending on your score, they'll follow through with an arrest or not.
Yeah. Because you're basically giving a testimony on how you've solved the case.
Yeah. Walking in on Thomas. Amen.
Okay, that's fair.
What are you thinking right now?
I'm just looking to see if like any of the businesses that are listed in here are on Main Street.
Oh, to find out where she works?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I was just looking at that as well.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. It's fine. Probably not super helpful. Okay. What else? What else we got in here? We could go to the train station. That is the other one I wanted to try, potentially. Although we could go, the Miskatonic Museum was another thing that was in the paper, and they were missing a fun statue, which could explain more about what happened to Edward. Yeah. Museum is more useful than the train station. If the train has already departed, what are you going to find there unless you coincidentally dropped evidence you left behind? I agree with you. I feel like the museum is probably the better option. Yeah, let's do the museum.
Sure. Do you know the location?
No, sorry.
That's fine. I'll look it up. That's why I'm here.
The Miskatonic Museum.
Da, 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 da. Okay, we'll get there. Local culture.
I believe it. He'll find it. It's a number somewhere on this map.
Okay.
No, I'm
It's
not
not
kidding you.
That one?
I mean, I can see if I've got any allies there, and that might help.
Yeah. Right.
Hospital. C-17 is Professor Lenore Robinson. I assume that's the...
No. I think that's C-24 as well.
Oh, maybe not.
C-24 is the
Library?
University Exhibit Museum, but it's not exactly what you're looking for.
No, it's not.
Let me just even just like look through these. weird.
Maybe I can't go to the Miskatonic Museum.
Yeah, but you think you could.
You would think you should be able to.
Well, I think I just look it up alphabetically. It's just in there. Miskatonic Museum.
Oh, no, it's because it's the University Exhibit Museum.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then we know that one.
Yeah.
224. Got
Yeah.
that right here.
Yeah. That's why.
All's good. It is the night of the third day.
We got there.
Okay.
Well, and that's not how this game works, Synthetic. I can't ask questions. I just have to go visit people and places.
Sometimes it works so well, and then you're like, other times you're like, okay, I'm just gonna read this, and this guy's gonna be like, hello, and I'll be like, all right, bye.
Okay, thanks, babe.
The University Exhibit Museum is closed, so the iron-studded doors are fastened tight. On a hunch, you head around the side of the building to the loading dock.
Mm-hmm.
There are several workers and a policeman lingering on the dock. The policeman is taking statements from two men dressed as watchmen. To one side, nervously pacing is an academic type in a dust-covered suit. You approach the academic, who introduces himself as Dr. Robert Gladding, a junior curator with the museum. I can't believe this has happened. This exhibit was going to be the thing that secured me the job of senior curator. Now, Richard is to get to the post for sure. As he wrings his hands, you learn that both he and Richard Jedry, the other junior curator, have been competing for the vacancy of a senior position. Both were given exhibits to display. As well, a well-respected curator is arriving from Boston to present the board with his opinion as to which man should be promoted. Who would steal a 12th century ritual bowl except someone wishing to sabotage my exhibit?
We've seen a ritual bowl
my mic
before.
is quiet. Is it on? No. Don't mute me for a second.
Yes. I am 6.
You can go. When you pressed it and didn't click, I accidentally turned it on.
It's cool.
Thank you, Rubicon. My mic was not on the whole time.
You're just that loud.
I am.
You commented earlier on how the mask makes your mic quieter, and it wasn't your mask.
A well-respected curator is arriving from Boston to present the board with his opinion to which man should be promoted.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. I can't believe my mic wasn't on. We're professionals here. The ritual bowl. It's not worth anyone to anyone despite its age. There were very few people who even knew of the bowl's arrival. Just the University Museum staff and the staff of Rare Books and Maps. What will Mr. Ingram think? I'd better send a message over to the Bancroft Arms to let him know. With that, Gladding hurries away.
Sorry, the something arms?
Bancroft.
Arms.
Bancroft Arms is N34. It's a
to
hotel.
let who know? The
Mr.
curator.
Ingram, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Ingram.
And that's N34 for Bancroft Arms.
N34. Okay. Want to point it out, but it's just...
Muffled because of the mask.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this mask,
It's dense.
it's dense. It's one of those
It's
old...
not letting any droplets
yeah,
go.
it's one of those old Navy ones.
Your voice is so captivating that I didn't even notice.
Pling!
Aww. Okay. All right. That tells us that there was a competition, and the ritual bowl coming in was only known by Rare Books and Maps, and then Ingram is at the Bancroft Arms. This game is really struggling to mislead you away from Thomas, isn't it? Oh boy. I think it's worth going to Bancroft Arms to N34.
Sure.
There's no benefit to finishing this game early, right?
I think you get more points if you use less locations.
Oh, okay.
Just so for reference, Armitage says he could do it in 6. He's crazy, though.
Crazy.
All right. The Bancroft Arms Hotel is the kind of establishment you wouldn't associate with a visiting academic. It is strange to you that someone of apparent high standing at the Boston Museum would be willing to hang his hat in such a cheap hotel. Stepping into the poorly lit lobby, what the heck is this? Step into the poorly lit lobby, you ring the bell. It is answered, eventually by a sweating man in a stained shirt. Without looking at you, he snorts and pushes the ledger in your direction. We only have single beds, 90 cents a night. Wow.
What a time.
You push aside the ledger and ask him about Victor Ingram. He protests about the anonymity of his clientele, and you slam your palm down violently on the desk, insisting you're a friend of Victor's and there to retrieve his belongings, goddammit. This simple intimidation tactic has the desired effect, and he tosses you a pass key and mutters, Room 29. Why don't you clean up the mess while you're up there? Room 29 is in such a state that it must have been vacated in a hurry. You search every nook and cranny, and under the mattress you find a sheaf of notepaper. The paper seems to be a text hand-copied from a book. You find page after page of neatly copied entries. The page describes a ritual of the cult of Shub-Niggurath, a very gruesome act to bring a spawn into our world using a grain of seed consumed by a human. Once the spawn is incubated in the host, it will eventually be cut free and released. The host is then sacrificed and the blood of the victim used to nourish the spawn. A few of the pages reveal sketches of artifacts used in the ritual. You suppose the museum curator may know something about these drawings.
Gross. Okay. Well, what it seems like to me so far is our poor little victim, Martha, was that her name? Was conned into loving poor Edward, who in a sense is not poor. And he fed her some awful, awful grain seeds, and she then grew a Shub-Niggurath spawn inside of her, and then was harvested, although she was not sacrificed, so her blood was not used to feed said spawn. But anyways, something was then given to Victor, who escaped on a train. Is there anything else in this paper about him? There's a small article. Victor Ingram. Yeah. See, Meghan totally bought the false filing to the game sold her. Oh, yeah. I mean, I bought it.
I like that. I like
for a
this.
penny and
I
for a
like the
pound.
detective work.
Yeah.
The detective work and then the true detective work, which is seeing every angle. I like it.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep investigating, or are you ready to turn in your investigation?
I don't know. I'm like... I feel like the better way is to just go for as long as possible, but I don't know how much points stopping early gets.
So you'll lose points for every location you visit past a certain number of locations.
Oh. Huh. The only thing I feel like I don't... Well, I guess he took the statue. I was like, I don't think I know what Victor took, but I'm sure he took the statue.
It was said to be a ritual bull.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I do have that note. Realistically, you should probably go with your gut, but you want to Victor accuse Thomas. But I'm not concerned about my gut feeling. I'm pretty confident in what I have learned. It's more like, do I feel like I need to know more and go visit more places, or should I just stop? I mean, what the hell? Let's just stop. Let's just do it.
All right. So I'm going to give you a different colored pen for you to give your points when you write them answers down. So you're going to write the answer down, then we'll grade them all once we're through the test.
Okay.
You have made it back, and this is what Professor Henry Armitage wants to know.
And is chat allowed to help me with this?
Chat is allowed to help.
Not that they've been very helpful to begin with, but
Yeah.
I'm leaning.
No, but now that it's a test, now it's serious.
Yeah, now they're on.
All right. Question number 1. What is the name of the woman who collapsed in the street?
Her name is Martha.
I think it's right there.
Thank you, Modine.
The rest does matter. You need full answers.
Yeah.
Number 2. Who was the suspicious character that made a quick exit from the scene of the crime?
Edward Hart something.
Yeah, you have it in your notes.
Yeah.
Number 3. How did the woman come by her injury?
3. Edward stabbed her. How complex does this answer have to
The
be?
more complex you are, the better.
Okay.
More so, why?
Okay.
Why did it happen?
Okay. Well, he put a spawn of Shug Niggurath in her and then harvested it, I suppose, is the best answer.
Yeah, okay, cool. You can just write like harvested.
Yeah.
Number 4. What is the danger in the park?
Oh, I forgot completely about that section of this storyline. The trees are the issue, but I don't know why or what. Chat, any insight? Yeah, the trees are about my knowledge as well. I just completely forgot that you babbled about the trees. There is none. It's simply a myth the witch cult believes.
If you just write the trees, Henry Armitage won't judge you too much.
It's true.
Because they are alive.
Because they are alive. Yeah, that is what she said. The trees were alive, and she went on about the trees having eyes.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah. But I don't think I looked into it at all or came across any information at all. Nope, just gonna write the trees are alive. The trees have eyes, maybe?
Yep.
Trees have eyes.
Number 5. What was stolen from the museum?
I wrote 3 twice. 5. The ritual bowl.
Number 6. Who is the out-of-town cultist of Shubby?
Victor Ingram?
Number 7. Why did the cat hiss at the wall outside of Hartwell's house?
I can infer that there was some there's a section about animals not liking somebody.
Yeah, Pascal's. The animals don't like spawns of Shubby.
There it is. Yeah. I just don't know who or why there would be a spawn of Shuggy related to a wall that the cat was hissing at. But
The wall there was a window that looked into the basement where the grain seeds were kept.
oh, okay, sure. It was reacting to because the cat was pissed he wasn't being let inside.
That's also accurate. That's pretty good. That's pretty accurate.
Writes that one down. Yeah, so let's say that it was because Edward had harvested the spawn. Or was the spawn? Harvested.
All right, you ready for something that you're just gonna have to make guesses on? Number 8. Who did the hospital workers see on the top of the floor of the Emperor home?
Sorry, one more time.
Who did the hospital workers see on the top floor of the Emperor home?
Oh yes, the lights in the Emperor home. Let's for synthetic, we'll say Thomas.
Sure.
It's probably not right at all, but
All right, number 9. What was Barclay Rutger up to?
oh, great. A name I have no idea what that means at all.
My favorite was when we would do this and we get to one of these questions and we didn't know. We're like, I don't know, fucking writing a story.
Yeah, writing his memoirs. I don't know. What's in this? Let's see if there's anything interesting in this newspaper he could be doing.
Actually, there might be.
What was his name again?
Barclay Rutger.
He's a writer? Is this Alan Wake?
Please repeat the question. What was Barclay Rutger up to?
Who's investigating the cult's false mythology beliefs? I'm just gonna arbitrarily pick this letter to the editor as the thing he was doing, which is investigating the illicit activities on the unvisited isle.
All right, number 10. What was the name of the late night graveyard visitor?
Pick a name, chat. Any name you want that sounds vaguely mythosy.
Armitage himself. That's so funny. All right. Number 11. Why did the late night graveyard visitor visit at night, and what was he doing?
Oh, there are so many of these I don't know the answers to.
That's okay. These ones, the graveyard ones, we did not know.
Sorry, why did he visit at night, and...
What was he doing?
Armitage is a head vampire, that's why he's guilty. He visited at night because he likes the dark. And he was grave robbing. I don't know.
Sure. Final question for your test.
Sure.
What is the word scrawled all over the Emperor home?
Oh, didn't go. But red rum. No fucking way. Shugnigareth? That's a long word to scrawl over the walls, but I'm gonna go with it.
Sure. All right, let's score your test.
Okay.
Number 1, Martha Modine for 3 points.
3 points. Boop.
Edward Hartwell for 5 points for question number 2. What did you have for 3?
Edward harvested the...
So, yep, we'll give you 5 points for that.
Sweet.
Full marks.
What was the answer?
The ritual extraction of the spawn of Shubby.
Sweet.
Yeah. Number 4. What is the danger in the park? The trees that come to life is worth 1 point. So put down 1.
Okay.
Yep. You would have got 3 points if you wrote Dark Young.
Okay, yeah, no.
The stolen 2 points for a ritual bowl.
Yeah, 2 points.
Or a Kathotha birthing dish.
Oh, no.
Number 6. Who was the out-of-town cultist? Mr. Ingram.
Yeah.
2 points.
2 points.
Why did the cast hiss at the wall? For 1 point, it was sensing the seeds of Shub, Niggurath, and Edward's basement.
Jesus. I put Edward harvested the spawn.
I'll give you half marks, 0.5. How's it going, time roller? Who did the hospital workers see on the top floor of this Emperor home? For 2 points, the members of the Silver Twilight Lodge.
Ah, Silver Twilight. Never investigated them.
I'm going to give you 1.5 out of 3 for this next one. Okay. So what was Barclay Rutger up to? Drinking with his friends on the unvisited isle.
Whoa!
Yeah. So I'm going to give you 1.5 for that.
1.5. That's impressive.
What was the name of the late night visitor at the graveyard? Thomas Ilsley.
No way! If I had actually gone with what Synthetic said. Oh my god. Okay, well, it was Thomas.
Not that Thomas.
No,
though.
But if I had put Thomas, I might have got half
You would have got
marks.
half points. You would have actually got half points.
Okay.
Why did the late night graveyard visitor visit at night? He suffers from insomnia and he was conducting research for a book.
Yeah, that's fair.
And what is the word scrawled all over the Emperor home? Narlathatep.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that one either.
All right,
But
so
it was not a short word, so.
it's true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So add up your points and then deduct 3 because you visited 3 more locations than Professor Armitage did.
Sorry, I lost count. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Narlathatep's a proper noun. It's not a word. Dude, it's a word.
I mean, even proper nouns are words.
17, so that's minus 3?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I got 20.
You killed it. You almost got like the best score.
Oh, amazing!
You got 12 plus points. You win. On the following page, you may view the locations Armitage do. So you can read solution. Just read this. It's the ending story. So you can read the resolution.
I will read it out loud to chat. In the end, a simple mystery. Back at Armitage's office, you feel the legwork of the week was far from simple. Garrison, reclining near the open window in a leather wing-backed chair, gives you a look that implies he agrees with you. Garrison says, "There was the question of the woman's identity to wrestle with Henry. That seems like the most pertinent fact that we were missing from the start." Armitage nods. "Indeed, that was forefront in my mind as well, Inspector, and once I had visited her room at Rennie's boarding house, I was able to put a name to our young lady, Miss Martha Modine." Garrison looked perplexed. "What on earth led you up French Hill to the Rennie house?" Armitage grins. "Alas, Inspector, so wrapped up were your officers in door-to-door solicitations over the identity of the young lady, they neglected her possessions. Her receipt from the boarding house clearly showed that she had intended to stay there for another month. This then led me to the friend Hartwell and his lair, so clean and tidy." Garrison shrugs grudgingly, an admission that a focus on the surrounding streets was the wrong call given the circumstances. "Well, what happened to her then? Why did that villain Hartwell attack the woman he professed to love?" "That, Inspector, perhaps we will never fully comprehend. Mr. Edward Hartwell had a love greater than the one he professed to hold for Martha.
Got a boner for Chubby.
There was a special bond between the two, but Edward was held thrall to dark power beyond our world. The rantings he uttered upon his arrest were testament to that. His love for the unspeakable evil of Shug-Niggurath outweighed even his fondness for the love of Miss Modine. He must have been planning it for some time, slipping one of those damnable seeds into Martha's food where it wiggled its way into her chest cavity, there to grow and feed on her, like a parasite. Martha was the unknowing host to this evil inside her. I must admit that weasel, Pascal, was of some use there. And it confirmed what I had learned from reading Eibon, E-I-B-O-N, in the library. A lingering memory of his feelings for Martha must have prompted Edward in remorse to dress her and lay her out to expire rather than complete the prescribed sacrifice. It is likely that the secretions of the spawn, that foul mucus, stayed the blood flow for a short time and dulled the pain. As the influence of the spawn waned after its removal, it is clear Martha awoke and was able to stagger back to the street to try and find help. There you go, synthetic. The blood flow was stayed. Garrison interjects suddenly. Why the attack in the park then? Surely he was taking a risk in such a public place. Armitage pauses, then knowingly responds. It would seem the ritual needed to be overseen by a watcher, a dark young Shug-Niggurath's blasphemous child. Where could one of these evil creatures hide in Arkham but in a heavily wooded park? He needed to conduct the ritual outside. What was there in the overgrown park of Uptown Park was with a slice and a snap of bones, he was able to free the unholy spawn and store it in the Tholo birthing dish that was taken from the museum. That is, until he could transfer it to a more secure bindings and hand it off to his friend Victor Ingram. It is a shame that you missed him, Inspector. Garrison nods at the suitcase next to Armitage's desk, the twinkle back in his eye. A shame. Seems like you and I have a trip to make in the morning. Unfinished business. So Armitage went to 7 locations. He did the Arkham Hospital, the library, the museum, Pascal, Herbert, Rennie, and Edward. So we did a lot of the same ones.
Yeah.
We just did more.
Congratulations, Megan. I think you actually had the best score out of anybody.
That's awesome. I mean, the 2 that got me 5 points, like...
Yeah, but everyone gets those, right?
I know.
It was the shot, like, here that was pretty
in the dark,
big.
yeah, that was pretty impressive that I just randomly picked it out of the newspaper.
And then the, what was also really good. I mean, you didn't waste a lot of time.
Yeah.
We wasted a bunch of time in our playthroughs.
Well, it does feel like as you're playing it, like you should just go around to as many places as possible. But then it did dawn on me that I probably would lose.
Because, I mean, you basically got 3 points, which is what you would have got for answering one of the questions that took you somewhere, right? Like, you just, like...
Yeah.
You would have... The more time you spent, the more points you would have lost from that.
That's true.
So what did we learn today, folks? Is that unfortunately Thomas gets away with it again.
Yeah. It's all Thomas's fault. I'm really mad that the other Thomas was an answer.
Yeah, you could have got another half point.
I could have got another half point for it.
All right. Bye, YouTube.
The story is synthetic is always right.
It's true.